You want to come up and join us? All right. Feel free to get in the background here. Well, thank you all very much for joining us here this afternoon at our bill signing. We've got a number of guests here that I want to highlight. First of all, we've got, let me just go through everybody here. Senator Merman, who is the introducer of LB 1261E, which is the extension of the Nebraska Advantage Rural Development Act. And then Senator Dorn, you were the prioritizer. Oh no, Senator Dorn. Sorry, Brandt. Dorn. I had the right name, wrong person. Senator Dorn was the prioritizer, right? All right, very good. And then we also incorporated that bill was LB 596 that was, introduced by Senator Albright and prioritized by Senator Hilgers, right? Correct. Okay, great. So obviously we've got the senators here. We're also being joined by Randy Gard, who's the secretary of the Nebraska Ethanol Board, Mike Gunther, who's the president of the Nebraska State Dairy Association, and of course Senator Brandt, who is also critical in pushing these bills along. So appreciate everybody joining us here today. Agriculture is the foundation of our state's economy. We are an agricultural state. It's the heart and soul of what we do. 20% of our state's economic engine is tied to agriculture. About 1 in 4 jobs in Nebraska is tied to agriculture. If we are going to grow Nebraska, we have to grow agriculture. And so that's the focus of my administration, is how do we put the policies in place to be able to do that? And we have seen agriculture continue to grow here in our state. So for example, last year our beef exports from the state were $1.81 billion. That was 25% more than the previous high year in 2018. We had a record productivity of 1.85 billion bushels of corn and 351 million bushels of soybeans. And not only was that a record production for our state, I can tell you nationally when we're talking about exports, that we exported more corn in 2021 than we had exported in 2019 and 20 combined. 102% increase. We also had an 8% increase in soybean exports last year for another record year. So we've continued to see great growth in our exports here in the state of Nebraska. We also continue to see great momentum when it comes to investing in our state. Over the last 6 months, we've seen companies like Schooler expand their pet source facility in Seward. We've seen Norfolk Crush commit $375 million to building that crush facility in northeast Nebraska. AGP is expanding a facility, or is building a crush facility in David City, Nebraska. Sustainable Beef is going through their process to be able to get their permits for their new beef processing facility in North Platte. And Preferred Popcorn is expanding their production facility. So we see all sorts of investments going along here. And that's why it's so important we continue to focus on policies that will help us grow agriculture in rural Nebraska. It's the strength and foundation of our economy. And that's why LB 1261E is so important. The Nebraska Advantage Rural Development Act was set to expire, and 1261E will continue the Nebraska Rural Development Act and expand it. It will take it from $1 million overall to $10 million, and will also allow each applicant to go from not just $150,000 up to $500,000. And so in a little bit, I'm going to ask Senator Merman to speak more on that. Another important aspect of 1261E is the fact it also has rolled into it 596, or at least important parts of 596 that include the credit for our ethanol producers. And this is important for not only growing rural Nebraska, but for our country as well. One of the things that we have seen over the last year is a huge increase in gasoline prices. And this is before Russia invaded Ukraine. And with Russia invading Ukraine, they've gone even higher. In fact, people are paying about 80% more today for gasoline than they were paying in January 2021. One of the things that the Biden administration will be doing is figuring out how do we bring those prices down, because it's their policies that have increased those prices. You know, when the president came into office, the first thing he did was cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. He's worked to renege leases that are already in place. They have not done an auction yet on public land, when those auctions used to happen on a quarterly basis. All these policies, these green at any cost policies, have driven up the price of gasoline even before the war in Ukraine. The President could take meaningful steps to help address that. And one of the ways that he could do it is support our ethanol industry. What do we know about ethanol? Well, it's our homegrown energy here in Nebraska. But we also know that ethanol will save you money at the pump. Ethanol is about $1.20 a gallon cheaper than gasoline today. So when you blend ethanol, you're going to save money at the pump. We also know that ethanol will help clean up the environment. If you blend 30% ethanol, you will reduce particulate and carbon black emissions by 45%. And you'll reduce NOx and other hydrocarbon emissions by 20%. So blending ethanol will help clean up the environment. And of course, it's great for our farmers and ranchers. 35 to 40% of our corn crop goes into making ethanol. And that is great for our farmers who produce that corn and helps support the market. And then of course, one of the byproducts is distillers grain, but then go to feed our livestock, specifically cattle, hogs, and so forth. And of course, I just talked about beef and the great exports that we have here in our state and how important that is. So this is part of the foundation of our economy. And so strengthening ethanol is something that would help us reduce those gasoline prices for people at the pump and help us on so many other levels. And this is a much preferred solution rather than going to our adversaries like Iran and Venezuela and asking them to produce more oil, which is what our president has done. Just nonsensical. I would rather sell energy to our friends in Europe so they can get weaned off of Russian oil and Russian energy that is fueling that war machine than buy it from our enemies like Russia or Iran or Venezuela. And so a policy that supports ethanol is going to be a good one for our country. And that's part of what 596 does. It helps create those credits for retailers so that they can get a credit for E15 and E30. And of course, here at the state, we just completed our test not too long ago where we ran E30 in regular vehicles, not flex fuel vehicles, just regular vehicles, anything produced after 2001, and we found no degradation in maintenance or performance. So help you save money at the pump, it's going to run just as well in your car. So there are steps the Biden administration could do to promote ethanol that would help address our energy needs here in this country. And that's, again, one of the reasons why 596 is so important. Here in Nebraska, we're taking those steps to support the ethanol industry. So I've already said a lot. Now I'd like to turn it over to Senator Merman, who will say a few words, and then Senator Albright, and then we'll ask Randy Gard to say a few words, and then Mike Gunther. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Senator Merman.
Okay, thank you, Governor Ricketts, and good afternoon, everyone. I was very pleased to introduce LB 1261, which will bolster Nebraska's agriculture sector. As enacted, the legislation promotes Nebraska agriculture in two important ways. Number one, the Nebraska Advantage Rural Development Act, with the goal of promoting investment in Nebraska agriculture through livestock modernization or expansion, and to encourage businesses to locate in rural Nebraska. LB 1261 amends the Nebraska Advantage Rural Development Act by raising the maximum amount of credits allowed for approved projects each calendar year. This program exists because the livestock industry does not qualify for the traditional business incentives that are given under the Nebraska Advantage or the Imagine Act. The Nebraska Advantage Rural Development Act encourages investment in livestock production and facilities. The amounts allocated to this program annually have not been adjusted up since at least 2017, even though the cost of livestock production invests have increased dramatically since that time. There is far more demand for these incentives in terms of applications than the program currently provides, so this would help address the unmet demand. Under the original provisions of this act, no new applications could be filed after the end of this year. LB 1261 now extends the sunset date an additional 5 years. The second part of this bill is the Nebraska Higher Blend Tax Credit Act, which Senator Albright will discuss. Again, thank you, Governor Ricketts, for your continuing support of Nebraska agriculture. Thanks to Senator Brandt for co-sponsoring the bill and to Senator Dorn for prioritizing this bill. A big thanks to Senator Linehan for moving both bills out of committee and to Speaker Hilgers for making LB 596 a speaker priority and ensuring that both bills have an opportunity to advance. Thanks to the Ag Leaders Group and the ethanol industry for their support through this process. With agriculture being the largest industry in Nebraska, we need to do all we can to incentivize investment in projects that would benefit rural Nebraska and the state as a whole and help our corn growers. This bill will benefit the agriculture sector as well as rural shops, restaurants, banks, and ultimately the taxpayers. The Nebraska Higher Blend Tax Credit Act will bring lower prices at the pump, increase demand for our corn growers, improve air quality, and help us in our goal to move toward energy independence. This bill is good for Nebraska, and I'm very happy to have it become law. Thank you.
Well, it's a good thing we're not planting yet. We wouldn't have so many people in the room. But I just want to welcome everybody today. I see a lot of familiar faces throughout the state. But you know, I serve on the Revenue Committee with Chair Linehan, along with 7 other members of the legislature. And last February, is when we got started with this particular bill. And sometimes good things come to fruition as we wait. And I do believe that that's what happened with this bill this year. When we had other players come in and start talking about this and getting Tim Keir on with the petroleum industry, that helped us launch this particular bill, 596, with the higher ethanol blends going into Nebraska and supporting the ethanol industry. I am a farmer's wife. We do take care of the distillers with our cattle, and I understand the importance of it. I'm very happy and honored to have been carrying this bill for everyone. But I will say that it can't be done without the work of a lot of people in this room and a lot of state senators that know and understand that. Obviously, the agricultural representation on the floor is getting smaller and smaller, so I'm very, very happy to have made this come to fruition this year. So again, a big shout out to Senator Linehan, because when I came to her with this bill, she said, sure, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want to do this. So I'm excited about that, and it was 8-0 out of the committee, and then on to Speaker Hilgers, knowing it was 8-0 with no one coming in opposition. So it went on to the floor this year. But of course, we had a very short session, and we were pretty much sweating bullets whether it was going to get across the finish line or not. It seemed like every single bill did take a little bit of time. But and then Senator Merman, I do appreciate you and Senator Dorn putting it on at the last minute, because it could very well have been put on the shelf for another year. Tim, Keir, I know how important you are to this particular piece of legislation, because without you all coming on board and not wanting to extend us a hand, that wouldn't have happened, so thank you. And of course, the ethanol board, Don Caldwell did a lot here in the end to help me kind of rally the troops and get things done. And of course, we have our lobby that is very strong out there getting things done. Matt Schaefer did a good job on keeping me abreast of where things were at and how they were getting done. So, and of course, for Governor Ricketts signing it in, I always knew that he was a supporter of the ag industry, but knowing what we do here with a $5 billion business with ethanol is paramount to this state, that we get this piece of legislation across. So again, for creating the Nebraska Higher Blend Tax Credit will increase the sales of ethanol, which reduces greenhouse gases by nearly 50% compared to the conventional gasoline. LB 596 would be an avenue for the public and private partnerships to expand the demand for ethanol, utilizing the momentum and the infrastructure already built over the past decades in Nebraska. Nebraska ranks 37th in the nation in the usage of ethanol, even though we're second largest producer of it right here in the state of Nebraska. We need to raise the bar and set the standard for clean fuels and for generations to come. If consumers are given a choice they'll choose a higher blend of ethanol that is of lower cost and better for the air. Only 10% of Nebraska's fuel stations offer higher blends of ethanol, but by reinvesting in our state's fuel infrastructure through this tax credit will result in a huge win for Nebraska. Cleaner burning fuels are the current solution for both economic and environmental goals. I probably don't have to reiterate what the governor's already said about this program, but it is excellent for Nebraska. We're excited to have it, and I just want to thank the governor again for coming forward and signing it for us today. Thanks a lot.
I'm Randy Gard. I'm the member of the Nebraska Ethanol Board, and I'm going to try to get this right because the governor talks about it all the time. LB 596, what does that really mean, and what's it do for the state of Nebraska? It lowers the price of fuel at the pump, so it saves consumers money. It's good for the environment. It's good for our farmers and ranchers. Governor Ricketts, did I do okay?
You did a great job.
All right, that's good. So LB 596 was over 2 years in the making, and I can tell you this started back, way back when with Don Caldwell, who used to be at Aurora Co-op, now is the leader of Renewable Fuels Nebraska. Kelly on the corn board, Tim and everyone. So there's been a ton of work, and what it really means at the retail level, very simply put, it's better fuel and it costs less. So when you're a consumer and you want to do everything from help the environment, reduce the price of fuel the consumers put in their vehicles, and if you're a retailer, there's nothing standing in your way today to make this mass transition from E10, being the standard fuel that most people use today, to making this mass conversion to E15. There's nothing standing in our way any longer. There's incentives, there's LB 596, there's consumer demand, there's certainly price pressures today. So at the end of the day, it's a marvelous day for the ethanol producers in Nebraska. It's a marvelous day for consumers, and it's a wonderful day for fuel retailers, and I just can't thank all the senators, Governor Ricketts, and everyone involved to make this thing happen. It's a great day.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Genther. I'm a dairy producer from Beamer, Nebraska, and I am currently the president of the Nebraska State Dairy Association. This is an exciting day for the dairy and livestock industry across the state. LB 1261 will equip Nebraska livestock producers with tools that they can use to meet production, sustainability, and modernization demands of today's consumers. With various world issues in today's marketplace, these funds will help offset rising costs of inflation and surging material costs associated with constructing modern livestock facilities. The Nebraska State Dairy Association has been working hard with Governor Ricketts and the Grow Nebraska Dairy team to expand the dairy industry in Nebraska. Throughout our efforts, we have learned that ensuring our producers have the tools to meet a growing demand for their milk is to the utmost importance. The passage of LB 1261 is a message to dairy processors across the world that Nebraska is committed and able to help our producers meet the milk production requirements of new processing capacity. LB 1261 is also vitally important in ensuring our producers can meet the production and modernization tempo in the beef, pork, and poultry industry. We will note that a healthy livestock sector in Nebraska is crucial to our state, but it's even more important in feeding the hungry world. A big thank you goes out to Governor Ricketts, Senator Merman, Senator Dorn, Senator Albright, members of the Revenue Committee, members of the unicameral, other state senators I'm failing to mention, and the Ag Leaders Working Group, as it took all of our efforts to achieve the investment in Nebraska's dairy and livestock producers. The possibilities for dairy production in Nebraska are now endless. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. Though I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed. I don't see any chocolate milk up here.
It's here.
You bring it? Chris, you got the chocolate milk? Oh, you're the best. Okay, bring it on up, bring it on up. Oh, that is awesome. Chris, you will. I gotta tell you that whatever they're paying at the Nebraska State Dairy Association, it's not enough. All right. Let's take a drink of chocolate milk before we sign this bill. Oh, man, that is good stuff. All right. Right, well, hey, great job, Chris. Where'd he go? Where'd you go, Chris? He just came in, dropped off milk and disappeared. All right. All right there. Okay, great. Thank you, Chris. That's a little pick-me-up we needed here at the end of the day. All right. So now let's go ahead, and I want to thank everybody that's a part of this. Thank you, Senator Merman, Senator Albright, Senator Brandt, Senator Dorn, all the ag groups. Really appreciate Randy and Mike being here to represent them. And give me just a moment here. And with my signature, we have now a new law. So thank you very much. Good job, Matt. All right. Well, one of the things that Mike mentioned, and it is absolutely true, is that it takes a lot of people to get any bill passed. It is always a team effort. There is no such thing as an easy bill to get passed. It all requires work. And so I'd like to recognize the folks who have helped, who are part of the team that helped make this happen. There's obviously a lot of people that we need to recognize. We'll catch a lot of them up here today. We're going to start with Senator Dave Merman, and I'm going to present him with a signed ceremonial copy of LB 1261. Senator, thank you so much. All right, and next I have a copy for Senator Joni Albright. Senator, thank you so much. Good job, Don's on top of it. All right. Next, I would like to present one to Senator Myron Dorn. Senator? All right. Next, I would like to present one to Senator Tom Brandt for his help. Senator? Speaker Hilders is not here, but I will go ahead and recognize him and sign a copy for him. He was obviously the prioritizer. I don't believe Senator Linehan is here, but it was always mentioned that she helped get this bill out of committee, so we need to have one to thank her. And then Senator Friesen. I don't believe Senator Friesen's here, but we've got one for him as well. Senator Friesen?
He prioritized, or he was co-signer.
Co-sponsor. Okay, great. Very good. And, okay, so we got through that. So there was a number of other folks who are key here. I'm sorry. There's no other senators here I need to talk about, right? Nobody, no senators in the audience? So, All right, good. Just want to make sure we didn't miss anybody. All right, great. Because we got a lot of other people we got to recognize too. Is Mark McHarg, President of the Nebraska Farm Bureau, here? All right, nope. We're going to sign one for him. Make sure he gets one. And then want to make sure we're recognizing. Okay, Brenda Mashik is not here. Is that right? Because Mike, you're here. Oh, Brenda's here. Brenda here. Brenda, come on up. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Brenda, come on up. President of the Nebraska Cattlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you for all your work.
Great job. All right. How about Al Junkie? Is Al here? Al, come on up. Thank you so much for all your work. Well, no, it's not all right. You didn't bring any bacon, Al. I'll let it go. Well, we'll let it go this time. But you notice Chris did bring the chocolate milk. I didn't tell him to do that. He did that of his own initiative. Just saying. And I will say, Al, you've been at the pork producers a lot longer than Chris has been at the State Dairy Association. Just saying. Speaking of Chris and his save with the chocolate milk, Chris, come on up. Chris Busquette, Nebraska State Dairy Association.
Great job. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Oh, and then, oops, let's see. We can't, of course, forget our speakers that are up here. Mike Gunther. Mike, thank you very much. And let me get Randy Guard. Randy. Great job. And then we will get Don Coswell, who is the executive director, right, for Renewables Nebraska. I saw Don here. Come on up, Don. What?
Yeah, I have a board member here, so I'm going to let him stand up.
All right, great. Okay, great. Thank you, Don. All right. So is that John Cosby?
It is the stand-in for John Cosby, the new CEO at Energy Adams, so Brian.
Brian, okay. Well, Brian, come on up. You're going to take John's. How's that?
Yes. John didn't show up, so he doesn't get one.
Yeah, if John doesn't show up, like, he's out. Great. Thanks very much. No, actually, we can get one for John later if you just follow up with the team there, Don. We'll get him one. All right. Then we have to recognize Tracy Menke, the Executive Director for Executive Assistant for Renewable Fuels Nebraska. Tracy? Great job. Congratulations. Thanks. Yeah. Get the picture there. Matt, you're supposed to be taking pictures for the whole thing. What's going on? All right. Then we got Dan Nayrud for the Chairman of the Nebraska Corn Growers Association. So let's give him a round of applause. All right. Thank you very much, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great. Good job, Matt. All right. Randy, we got, okay. How about Reed Wagner, Administrator of the Nebraska Ethanol Board? Is Randy here? I'm sorry, Reed? All right. Thanks very much. Great job.
Thanks.
All right. We also want to recognize Tim Keir, the Executive Director for Nebraska Petroleum Markers. Tim?
I'm assuming Randy brought you a couple Snickers, so. You too. Good. You got the white ankle mat?
Yes.
All right. Okay. How about Chad Spahn, Vice President of the Grain Marketing for ADM? Chad, okay. How about Casey Potter, Grain Merchandiser ADM? All right. Good job. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for your support. Okay. Let's then go to, let's see, make sure we're catching right. So we got Brian Parker, CEO E Energy. That's who I got earlier, right? Great. How about Kelly Brunkhorst, Executive Director of the Nebraska Corn Board? Kelly here? All right. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it. Great. Thanks. All right. And how about, is Bruce Reeker here? He is the VP of Government Relations for the Nebraska Farm Bureau. Congratulations, Bruce. Great work. What about, we also need to recognize Jay Ferris, the Director of Political Engagement and State Policy of the Nebraska Farm Bureau. Not here. Not here, okay. Well, let's give him a round of applause, too. How about Andrew Dunkley, the Director of State Government Relations at the Nebraska Farm Bureau?
They're at a party.
Okay, well, apparently they're not getting anything then. Okay. All right, I think, help me out, Alex. Is there anybody I have not got? Huh?
All right, J.M. and John Adams.
J.M. and John Adams, come on up. Thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Hold on, don't go where, don't stay here. We're gonna have a group picture.
Okay, good deal.
Right.
Those are my aides, sorry.
All right, great job. Yeah. Well, good thing we're recognizing.
They did all the
you here.
work.
You guys did all the work. All right. All right, folks. Hey, thank you all very much for joining us here today. What we'll do now is open up to questions and answers. Again, we'll keep it on this topic right here with regard to 1261 and 596, and then once we get done with that, we'll move on to other questions.
I think we've got time for about 2 questions.
So we have to keep it short with 2 questions. Anybody? Oh, we did such a good job of answering all these questions. All right, don't see any questions on this topic. Thank you all again. Great job, everybody. Senator, great job. Senator, great job. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it. Senator, good job. Good job. All right. You are all dismissed unless you want to help me answer the next round of questions. No? No takers on the questions? Okay.